Good afternoon. I'm going to try this again. Please feel free to keep eating. Welcome, everyone. Sorry. Thank you for being here. I'm Lisa, if I haven't met you before, and I'm going to be leading the meeting today. I have to apologize. I brought the wrong glasses, so I'll kind of have to look at you over my reading glasses. I thought I had my distance ones, but I don't. We're very fortunate to have a speaker here today from Project Abraham, and I will be asking Craig to introduce her in a moment, but I just wanted to start the meeting.
No, I'm introduced.
Okay, you're not on my list.
I'm never on your list. Blessings come from you, so you don't mind, right? You think?
I do mind.
You think?
Okay, we don't need to have a throwdown. It's all good.
Okay.
You're very wanted.
Very popular.
I know he's right, he told me.
Okay, well, here, I'm just going with my list. Before we begin with our speaker, we're going to have a moment of reflection. And on my list, it says that Lionel is giving our reflection. Is that correct?
I think so.
Perfect, Lionel. Come on up and give us a reflection.
Very short, but
Yeah. That's okay.
okay. Yeah, I just discovered two quotes from Nelson Mandela, browsing the internet today, which struck me as being significant. First one, there's no passion to be found playing small in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. Second quote, for to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lionel. So, I'm going to turn the floor over to Tom, who's not on my list, to introduce our speaker. And I'm going to say thank you. So who's thank you?
Craig.
Okay. It's not on my list either, but I'll survive.
Some days you get lucky. I'm not shy, so I thank you. It is with great pleasure that I welcome Helen Latimer here today as our guest speaker. Helen comes to us as the CEO of Project Abraham. Helen came to Canada from France, was educated in Concordia, in Montreal, and is a strategic thinker, planner, and a relationship builder. Has worked with Craig Armstrong of our club in the past. They have put together some very strong programs. Project Abraham provides services and education as well as support services for immigrants and refugees in need. This includes language instruction, homework tutoring, translation services, and referral services as information programs on Canadian culture and life. The impact has been awesome. 100% satisfaction with teachers and tutors. 94% improved their English speaking skills. 500 people per year go through the program and 11 different languages. Over 3,800 hours of classes have been performed last year. Wow. With that, I'd like to welcome Helen to come up. And thank you very much for that.
Well, that was lovely. And I will say I was not born in France, but my LinkedIn profile was hacked. No, it truly was. Other than that, I did go to Concordia, and at one point I was fluently bilingual, but anyway, there we go. So first off, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your support of Project Abraham's Homework Club. Last spring, through Craig, you said yes to Project Abraham with no first-hand experience of us or with our clients. And then you said yes again last fall, and then this spring, you said yes again. And today, I want to thank you and to share with you the impact that that funding has had on our newcomer families. As Tom mentioned, I'm Helen, and I am the Executive Director at Project Abraham, and I'm ably supported by two key members of my Board of Directors. I'd like to introduce David Taylor, who is our Board Chair, and Kyle Grooms, who is head of our fundraising committee. As with all charities, our board is run by volunteer board members, and I can tell you these two put in hours of time to support us. So let me tell you a little bit about Project Abraham. We work with refugees and other survivors of war, persecution, and genocide who have arrived here in the Toronto area. We're a small and mighty team. There are 2 full-time employees. I am not one of them. There are 9 part-time employees, of which I am one. And we don't even have a physical office, which means if you need help with Zoom or Teams, call us. We're quite expert at it now. You heard from Tom about some of our programs, our English as second language, our workplace communication, our women's empowerment program. These are some of the efforts that we put forward for adults. For our children and youth, our emphasis on anything that can help them succeed at school. The Homework Club is part of all of that work, and I would argue that it's an extremely vital part of that work because it impacts children and youth, and they're our future. But enough about Project Abraham. Let me tell you about our clients. Almost 100% of our clients are refugees, and over 50% of them are Yazidis. And while all of our programs are open to all of our clients, I'm going to focus today on our Yazidi clients because it is for them that the Homework Club was developed. And we also have more Yazidi families who are arriving now across the GTA. So the Yazidis were displaced by ISIS. They were a victim of genocide back in 2014 in Sinjar, which is in northern Iraq. In a move that is quite unusual, the Canadian government brought these people directly from the war zone into Canada, and they have survived things that I think would undo most of us. And then they come here, a country that is so different from their home, with a language that they've never heard spoken before, different systems, different approach to education. And these families kept going. I don't feel these families are fragile. I feel these families are quite extraordinary. But imagine the weight that those families carry when they first walk into a school here in the Toronto area. When a child arrives at the local school for the first time, they're surrounded by people speaking a language they've never heard. When a parent is called to come and sit at a parent-teacher interview, they're unable to read the progress report. Project Abraham began with private sponsorship of Yazidi families. The sponsors were Canadians who were deeply moved by the impact of the genocide, and they wanted to give these families a better chance for life here in the safety of Canada. Sponsorship is not only a financial commitment to a family, it's also a commitment to providing these families with the services that they need in order to integrate them into Canadian society. It became apparent quite quickly to our sponsors that the children needed help if they were to succeed in school. They are enrolled in a class based on their age. And imagine they have little or no knowledge of English, and their experience at school is very different. The Yazidis have no written language. The role that many English-speaking parents play in supporting their children in school includes things that are not yet possible for most of our Yazidi families. English-speaking parents can provide their children with homework support, as I'm sure some of you remember sitting with your kids. And they can connect with confidence with the teachers and the administration. Our founders at Project Abraham realized there was a gap, and the Homework Club was the answer to that gap. With our Homework Club, we provide free, structured academic report to newcomer students who are facing multiple barriers to education, including language, interrupted schooling, and limited access to resources. It runs week after week, so our families can count on it being there. But here's how it works. Children from kindergarten through grade 12 are matched with a tutor who will meet with them virtually once a week for 1 hour to provide one-to-one support on key subjects like English, math, and science, which we added in 2025. And we're able to do this because we have use of an amazing learning system called iExcel. iExcel. It took me a while to realize there was a pun in there. It was just the letters iExcel, and then I'm like, oh, iExcel. So that's the program that we use. And it's amazing because the content is aligned with Ontario curriculum, updated when the curriculum updates, and provides teaching resources, homework lessons, exercises, and very important to us, an ability to assess where each and every student is. The students also get access to iExcel, so they can practice between their tutoring sessions and over any breaks. And to ensure that everyone has access to the tool and the tutoring session, which is done virtually, we have a Chromebook lending program if a family is not able to provide their own laptop. Most of our tutors are students, the majority of them at the postgraduate level, and we pay them a little something, which means the Homework Club provides a small income source for young adults. Retention, that a little bit of money helps with retention, but more importantly is they see the progress that their students are making. And that means when a tutor joins us, their retention is very, very good. Our tutors are not there just building skills. They're also building relationships. On average, a student will stay with us for about 1.5 years, but many have been with us for multiple years, in part because we have students who also have learning challenges and they require that ongoing support. We also see it's common for younger siblings to enroll in the program as they start their academic journey. This past year, the number of students enrolled in the program has ranged from 35 to 45 students at any given time, and most of those kids are between the ages of 8 and 12. And I think that's a fantastic age to be able to provide the additional support, because we can help build a foundation. For a child to enter high school without the scaffolding of earlier mathematics is going to be a very difficult journey for them. At this point in time, when we look back over the past few months, I can report that those children and students, young people who are enrolled in our program, 100% are actively participating in their tutoring sessions. And 100% of them are making academic progress. And I'm going to sit with those numbers for a second. 100%. That's very unusual in the landscape of education, as I'm sure you hear about on the news with reports of student achievement. But this is what happens when you've got caring and persistent tutors and families who are dedicated to making sure that their children attend.
Now, last August, Moria City families began arriving in Toronto. There was no fanfare, or I don't think it made the news, but they're arriving under the federal government's family reunification program. And while it's wonderful to hear about these families being reunified after having spent so many years living in a refugee camp, we saw quickly that there were going to be some challenges. We knew their children would need the homework club. What we didn't realize until we were onboarding them was the challenge that their lack of exposure to English was going to pose. We have no funding to be able to provide an interpreter for each and every tutoring session. But we had good fortune. Our senior tutor in the homework club is a certified English as second language teacher. And we formed small groups of children. They worked with our senior tutor, and we could find an interpreter for that one small group class. So that's what we did. And we immediately got the children, starting in September, working on English as a second language. Later in the fall, we found a second tutor who could support small group English as second language. Which is absolutely wonderful. So right now in that program, we have 16 students enrolled. And they began, when we measured their English level, it was 0. 0 is exactly what it sounds like, no English. And now, after a few months of being in these small group tutoring sessions, they're starting to progress. They're at, I'm going to check my notes, high beginner, so there's all these levels, high beginner and low intermediate. What this means is the children can now say sentences in English. But the children in these programs are not just learning English. These newly arrived children are also building confidence. They're learning how to learn. They're finding their footing in a country that I'm sure can feel very large and very fast when you're arriving with nothing but your family. And sad to say, the schools often lack structured, individualized English as second language support. And schools across Toronto region are actually cutting English as second language classes, even where they have populations of high populations of newcomers attending the schools. So the homework club is filling that gap, and our tutors say we've created a very warm and family-based learning environment. Now the goal of our homework club is to bring the students up to the grade level of their peers. Remember, they're enrolled in the class according to their age. It's very common for these students to be multiple grades behind their peers. So the goal is we want to bring them up to grade level. But there are other things besides that certificate of graduation that they earn, and things like increased confidence, increased comprehension, greater participation in the classroom, less anxiety about going to school, and more engagement with the families. So now I'm going to share some stories with you so you can hear about some of the real experiences of some of the children enrolled in the program. I haven't changed the names, but the details are fairly sketchy just to protect their privacy. But I'll start with one of our students who was in secondary school when she came to us with her family after having received a very poor grade in her math. It was 35%. She was struggling not because she lacked ability, but because she was still developing English. She'd been plucked into school mid-year, and the gap between where she was and where her peers was feeling insurmountable. And after targeted tutoring with her through the homework club, her last test she scored 90%, which was actually even above the class average. But more important to me than that number, as impressive as it is that the tutor shared with us that she no longer dreaded going to math class. She started asking questions in class, and she started helping other students. That shift from dreading to asking, from hiding to helping, doesn't show up in a grade, but it can change the trajectory of this young person's life. One of our parents, her name is Aisha, has 3 girls enrolled in our program, and she wrote to us, and I'll read what she said. The homework club is very helpful for my girls. They improved their writing and their reading. Their English is getting better. They speak more and feel more confident. The tutors are kind and helpful. This program is very important for my children. I think what it must be like to watch your children struggle in a language that you yourself are still learning, to watch them build confidence in a tutoring session where they're safe to make mistakes. And I can tell you, we have many parents who are quote unquote observing so that they can take part in the classes as well. So the homework club is a great place where Aisha and her daughters have been able to figure things out together. Here's what one parent had to say about Patricia. She's one of the tutors that we brought on specifically because we had your funding and support. They said, Patricia seems to truly understand where students were struggling and explained math concepts in a very simple and clear way. Things Sana could not understand after repeated explanations at school were finally clear. Now Sana feels much more confident and her interest in math has grown again, which is a wonderful story. I'll also say Patricia is an amazing tutor. She's a graduate of Harvard Law School. She practices a human rights lawyer in the United States, moved here as an older person, went back to school, just finished her Master of Education at Boise. Sadly, we have lost her because she's entering a different profession, but what a gem. Here's another one that comes from a secondary student. Her name is Alina, and here's what she had to say when she wrote in an email that she wrote to our senior tutor. Sophia, who is her tutor, went beyond the regular class activities and provided me with extra practice and guidance. With her support, I was able to achieve a score of 125 on the Duolingo English test, which helped me apply for university. I also want to thank you, she means our senior tutor, for always staying in touch, checking on my progress, and connecting me with the right tutor. Alina has now applied for university, and because a tutor went above and beyond in her tutoring sessions. That's what this program is all about. And Sophie's another rock star in her own right, wants to be a pediatric neurosurgeon when she's done. A parent named Missy wrote about her children's experience. Iris, the tutor, has helped grow their self-confidence. She's been patient and firm, yet fun and engaging. That's a nice mix, I think. The iExcel program has also been extremely helpful for their success. Anthony says people in his class ask him for help, and the teacher lets him help them. So there's Anthony going from needing support to giving support, to being the person his classmates turn to. That's not a tutoring outcome. That's a child finding his place in the school. One of my favorite, and it might be my favorite story about this program, came from a parent who told us the joy that she felt when her son came home from school saying he had enough English to be able to talk to a classmate during recess. He came home saying he had made a friend. Can you imagine being a little guy in the schoolyard over recess, isolated because of a language barrier? I felt joyful for the parent, and he's not my son. I thought it was really wonderful. So with your support, we were able to bring on tutors like Sophie and Patricia with their expertise in STEM subjects. That's science, technology, engineering, and math. We were able to bring in an interpreter to help us with our group ESL classes. We ran the program all through the summer in 2025, and we're going to be doing the same thing this summer. That's that program running without interruption and expanding to meet the needs of our newcomers. For a small organization like Project Abraham, consistent funding means we can plan. It means we can tell a tutor, yes, this program will be happening next month and the month after that. It means that a family can count on us being there when they arrive. You helped us get that, and I do not take that lightly. Our homework club has become something families build their week around, but that kind of trust is only built over time, and your funding helped make that time possible. And we're not finished yet. In fact, we're just getting started on some things. We're working at standardizing our and how we document student progress, so that the stories I've shared with you today can be more than just stories. They can be evidence, the kind of evidence that funders can hold and that we can stand behind. We're looking to expand the ASL program to meet the growing demand and how to bring that funding in so we can do that responsibly. I want to close with a line from the email that came from Aisha, the mother of those girls. Aisha wrote that the homework club is very important to her children. Very important. Not just helpful, not just useful, very important. When a parent who is navigating an entirely new country, an entirely new language, an entirely new system says that a program is very important to her children, I take that extremely seriously. You didn't just fund a tutoring program. You're funding a place where a child found the words, where a teenager regained her confidence, where a parent watched her daughters become a part of something. Thank you for saying yes. I hope this gives you some sense of what the impact of the Homework Club has on its students and their families, and I hope you will stay with us as we build what comes next. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Fred.
much, Helen.
Thank you.
So I'm here to thank Helen. So I'm actually, oh yes, do we have any questions for Helen? Do we have time for a couple of questions? Norma has a question.
Sorry, where did the tutoring sessions take place?
They take place virtually. So we equip our, we bring in, we make sure everybody has a Chromebook. Some of the families do have, because a lot of the schools now, you really do have to have a device in order to access homework. But we have a Chromebook lending program, and we use Zoom. So we have tutors from across, all across Toronto, Ontario, and one in Montreal. Yeah, we use Zoom.
Is there any place in the city that they're particularly concentrated, these students?
Yes, a lot of the Yazidi students are in Richmond Hill. So like many newcomer communities where you have a few, some families start to arrive, more come. Some of the families are moving further north, but still within York region, just because of the costs. But a lot of them are, and certainly the new arrivals are just going where their sponsoring families are. But yeah, a lot in Richmond Hill. Other places they landed in Ontario were London, Ontario, and then there's communities in Manitoba and Calgary.
How do they connect with you? How do they find out about you when they arrive?
So when a refugee arrives in Canada, they are greeted by an agency right at Pearson. That agency is responsible for that first level of support, which is typically emergency housing and making sure that they can get access to health care. Once they have found a place to live, they got referred to us, well, they know about us because of what they've been told at the airport, but more importantly, they hear about us from other members of the community. And because one of my team is a member herself of the Yazidi community, there's a strong community connection, which can be difficult to manage at times, but she does a great job. But yeah.
And then how many are you, I forgot the number, how many students do you have at the present time?
Right now, we're about 40. Yeah, we're going to be graduating some students at the end of the school year. But our goal is to start off in July for the new school season with 40 students. That looks like it.
Yeah.
Excellent. So thank you again, Helen, and I'm glad that Tom stole the spotlight from me for introducing Helen because.
You want me to thank her?
No. Sit down, Tom. Sit down. You've done enough. Because it gives me a chance to thank Helen after hearing all those wonderful stories. So I know my heart's full, and I'm sure many of your hearts are full of the wonderful stories that Helen shared, and just how she communicated that it's not just about like the X's and O's, the 1 + 1s, the 2 × 2s, but it's really about the confidence that these kids are stepping away with, and that's really the true treasure, right? It's not just the ability to do the specific math, it's just the confidence in moving forward in life, and that makes for some wonderful members of society, and that's one of the great things about this great country of ours. We welcome people, and we don't ostracize them, but we help them, we lift them up, and bring them along with us. So thank you, Helen, for the work that you're doing, and thank you, Kyle, thank you, David, for joining us today. And yeah, you all have great hearts. I'm sure you make great Rotary members. So I'm sure at the back we'll sign you up and get you going. So thank you once again, and I'll turn it back to Lisa.
Let me add to Craig our thanks for being here. I think I speak for everyone in the room. You were able to really bring us into your program. I have a much better sense of what you do and the importance of it, because it's not just the math, it's the connections. Human connection is so important in society, and when you don't have the language, it's very, very difficult. So what you're doing is amazingly important, and we are so grateful that you're doing it, and we're happy to help support that. So thank you again. We're going to move on to the sort of business part of our meeting. You're welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to slip away if you've got things you need to do. I know your time is really important.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to start the business portion of the meeting with Happy Bucks. So Bob, if you could get the cup of joy, or the mug of joy. Oh, you've got the plate of joy. Perfect.
The collection plate.
The collection plate. Does anyone have anything that they're particularly happy about? Oh, hang on, let me just come. If you bring the plate of joy, I've got the microphone.
Thank you very much. I just have $5 here. I want to thank my good friend, everyone knows about here, Tom. I finally got a spot to go and live in this building. We were moving in the summer sometime. We don't know when it's going to be, but because of him, we got an introduction to one of his ex-neighbors here. And,
Wonderful.
That's wonderful.
That's wonderful.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, Sandy. Just come over here.
What a wonderful set of talks we've had today. Thank whoever arranged it all, but it was quite amazing for us all.
I agree. Anyone else? Oh, here I am.
Oh, thanks.
Getting my steps in here, and I've got my Apple Watch on just to
collect them.
Yeah, I'm happy because our church had its semi-annual rummage sale, April 25th. And we had 1,300 shoppers. We made just under 39,000 Yeah, it was incredible. It was the best rummage sale ever. And it's not only a win for the church, but the community and the environment, because nothing gets thrown into the landfill. It's all recycled.
Marion, you should also mention that the shoppers were lined up starting at 7:30 in the pouring rain.
Which church was this?
Eglinton St. George's.
Eglinton St. George, so clearly you've got good stuff if people are lining up that early in the morning. Just a minute, let me come round.
Tom's got $20.
Oh.
Only 10.
He's looking for change.
It's hard, you don't have many bills now.
There you go.
I just want to tell you that last week, Norma and I went to Model UN at the Toronto schools, and it blew me away. And I want to thank Norma for being there and for helping. 650 kids got a chance to hear that Rotary has a seat at the UN, that Rotary was at the beginning of the UN. They were coming up to us afterwards asking, how do I get more information? How do I do this? And I think that is what we should be doing, because those are our future Rotarians, and they're definitely going to be good Canadians, which I think is the most important part.
I think it was good networking and getting our name out there, and I hope we continue it.
Wonderful. Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Mike?
It's very hard to follow Tom there.
They call him Crip.
You're a fine one to talk.
It's not a classic happy moment, but I feel it's maybe appropriate to make a donation, because I started out going to Christ Church, and when they passed the plate around the church, I forget what the plate's called, I used to take the money out. I think it's about time I gave it back.
Sorry, I'm just getting my happy bucks out. Just a second. Yep, no, I'm not jumping the queue.
Very honest.
Okay, just a couple of things I wanted to mention. First of all, a reminder that next week on the 12th, I think it's Tuesday night, we've got a group of us, Tom, Glenn and myself, are going to Project Give Back to their annual review, which is always very interesting. Anybody else who'd like to come along, I want to let them know, I'll tell them all about it. And secondly, to mention the Rotary Golf Tournament, which is set for September the 15th.
Tuesday, September 15th.
Tuesday, September 15th. We're looking for more foursomes than we had last year. We only had 4 last year. We want to get up to 6 or 8 if possible, and we'll be looking for volunteers later on. But in the meantime, those of you who play golf or know people who play golf, please think about getting them on side and make a note on your calendar, September the 15th. Richmond Hill.
Richmond Hill. Tell your family and friends. Spread the word.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
So yesterday I had a chance to participate in an Ontario Career Lab, which is basically I get to talk to grade 9 and 10 students about my career path and about small business ownership and about trades. So we were at the Toronto Convention Center, and it's a huge event. All sorts of vendors were there, and so kids could learn about all sorts of trades, from like transport truck mechanics. They have big Peterbilt transport trucks in the building. They have floral design. They had robotics. They had all sorts of stuff. So had some really good conversations with some kids, because you know what, some kids, they just don't wanna get a job, and that was me coming out of university. I didn't wanna get a job, so, you know, some kids, they just wanna hear about a path of entrepreneurship, so I was able to share that with them, so that was a great time.
Anyone else I missed? I'm putting $20 in because there's two things I'm very happy about. The first is today is my little brother's birthday. And while he was a giant pain in the keister as a child, he has grown up into a lovely man, and I'm very grateful to have him in my life. And the second is that I do not have cancer. Some of you may know I have had a bit of a cancer scare for the last 6 weeks. I've had some tests, and I got the biopsy results on Monday, and it is a benign polyp. No evidence of abnormal cells. I will have to have a minor surgery at some point, but it's not cancer. So I'm very grateful. Okay, I think that's it for the plate of joy. Now we come to the end of my list. Does anyone? Okay, David, you want to come and?
Sure. As some of you guys already know, the board does, last year we did the farmers market every Sunday from June 6th through the end of October. This year it starts on June 7th, and we are participating again. So we are sponsoring the performance tent again, and then we're going to be promoted on all their signage, everything across the area. We are looking for volunteers. I will be sending out a volunteer sheet. Typically it's 4 people a week. We don't have to fill every single week. We didn't fill every single week last year, but if you want to participate, it's a great way of having a relaxed time talking about Rotary. People in this room have done it before. Tom's one of those if you want to know what it's like. It's pretty easy. You can sit in the beautiful sunshine. You do a little fresh fruit, fresh vegetable shopping afterwards as well. Anyway, so look for that email from myself. Secondly, I've already talked to Walter about it, but as some of you already know, we are part of the Rotary Connect group. And the Rotary Connect group is something that Matt Emerson, who's our assistant governor, has started back during his presidency. It was my year of my presidency as well. We're clubs within our area. They started off with about 16 clubs. It's now down to about 8 clubs that come regularly. But we meet on a regular basis to talk about what's going on within Rotary. That's not just within our club, so it's a great exposure to what's going on. I know that Lisa's been to a couple, I've been to a couple. Walter's going to come to the next one, which is on June 3rd. It's at Floga Restaurant. So if anyone is interested in wanting to come and just listen, you can have dinner. It's a Greek restaurant. You have dinner. You can listen to what other clubs are doing in the area. Our district governor-elect will be there, and then Matt will be there as well. So it's a great way of getting to talk with other members of Rotary that you may not see on a regular basis. So if you're interested, please let me know.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to do one quick plug for bingo. Having just been there last night doing my shift. Some of you know that we volunteer at the Delta Bingo and Gaming. It is possibly the most lucrative way we raise funds. I did a little back of napkin calculation, and each volunteer from our club earns about $700 an hour. And that is what allows us to support things like Project Abraham, Trails, the food banks, and all the other wonderful programs that we support. So it's an easy job. You basically sit at a desk at a door, and you greet people when they come in. And you smile and you say good evening or good morning or good afternoon. You answer questions. Maybe you get up and push some chairs in, but it's not the most exciting thing you've ever done, but if you're interested, if it's something that you think you might like to do, send Lars or me an email or talk to me afterwards. But it's not a lot of work, but it's a lot of money. So I just throw that out there. So upcoming events, we have next week, May the 13th, we have the SAGE recipients, so those who have benefited from the SAGE program at Metropolitan University. I was about to say that other word. And that will be on Zoom. And then May the 20th, we have Lenore Schaefer from Facing History and ourselves. I believe she's spoken to us before, but it's another program that we support, helping teachers if I've got this right, helping teachers deal with some really difficult topics in their classrooms. And then on the 27th, as some of you know, our prior Raw venue shut down. You can imagine. I think they're gonna try and turn it into a condo. So we are meeting at the St. Louis Grill, which is just here. We have a separate room upstairs, so that's on the 27th. So stay tuned, watch your emails, and that's what's coming up in May. Is there anything else that anybody wants to say for the good of Rotary? Tom?
The foundation is gonna have a meeting right after this meeting.
Okay. All right, well, with that, I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you so much for coming.